Lobbying, USA, present day. Imagine you want the government to pass a law allowing you to dump toxic waste into a river. If you just hand a politician a briefcase full of cash, you're going to prison for bribery. But you can hire a guy in an expensive suit who legally transfers that briefcase into the politician's campaign fund and then takes him out for $1,000 steaks just to discuss the environment. That guy is a lobbyist. In Washington, there's an entire street, K Street, packed with thousands of these guys. You aren't paying the politician for the law. You are officially buying the time of a middleman who will have a friendly chat with him about your problem. A bribe in an envelope gets you jail time, but this kind of consulting is an absolutely legal business. The revolving door. How do you guarantee a lobbyist will strike a deal with a congressman? Simple. They have to be best friends or former co-workers. A politician writes laws that are incredibly profitable for a giant oil corporation. Suddenly, his term is up, and where does he go? Straight to that very same corporation as a senior advisor with a salary 10 times higher. Meanwhile, the former CEO of that corporation goes to work for the government to strictly regulate the oil industry. They just endlessly swap chairs in a circle. It's called the revolving door. You don't hand the official a dirty bribe today, you simply guarantee this useful guy a luxurious, carefree retirement tomorrow. Super PACs. Let's say you're an eccentric billionaire. By law, you can only donate a couple of $1,000s to a presidential candidate. Laughable pocket change in big politics. But the US Supreme Court wisely decided that money is a form of free speech. So you create a super political action committee, a super PAC. You can legally pump $1 billion into this independent piggy bank. The fund shoots aggressive attack ads, slings mud at competitors, and buys billboards all over the country. There is only one rule: the super PAC is not allowed to directly coordinate with the candidate. So the politician and the fund just synchronously wink at each other through the TV screen. Insider trading. Imagine you sit on the health committee. Tomorrow, the government is going to announce the purchase of millions of vaccines, and a certain pharma company's stock is going to the moon. If an average person finds this out early and buys the stock, the FBI will immediately kick down their door and throw them in a cell. But if you're a senator, you just pull out your phone, call your broker, and buy the right shares before the official press release. US politicians literally write laws that drastically affect the market, and then legally play that exact same market themselves. The laws against this are so full of loopholes that government officials have consistently beaten the best traders on Wall Street for years. Gerrymandering. In a normal, boring world, voters choose their politicians. In the US, politicians choose their voters. Once every 10 years, voting district lines are redrawn. If your party is currently in power, you draw the districts so that you win forever. You carefully cram all of your opponent's supporters into one giant district where they win with a 99% probability. But in return, your party gets 10 neighboring districts where you win by a tiny margin of a couple of percent. The districts on the map end up looking like the tentacles of a drunk octopus or Rorschach ink blots. You could lose the election by total popular vote, but mathematically guarantee you take all the power. Pure math. Pork barrel. Congress is holding an emergency vote on a super important bill to save the economy after a brutal crisis. Everyone needs to vote yes. But the bill is massive, and somewhere on page 842, in tiny print, it's carefully noted, allocate $50 million for a potato museum in Idaho. This is called a pork barrel. Politicians agree to support a critically important national document only if you sneak in funding for an absolutely useless park in their home state. Why? Because the contractor who will build this museum just so happens to be that politician's best friend. Regulatory capture. The government creates a strict agency to stop banks from stealing money and monopolies from destroying the environment. But who understands tricky banking schemes better than anyone? The bankers themselves. As a result, the agency hires the exact same people it's supposed to be strictly monitoring. A couple of years pass, and the regulator starts writing rules that are incredibly profitable only for corporate giants. They create requirements so complex that any small competitor goes instantly bankrupt paying expensive lawyers, while the monopolies feel absolutely fantastic. The vault guard and the master bank robber are literally the same guy wearing different name tags. Buying science. You desperately need to push through a highly unpopular bill to clear-cut ancient forests, just so your 115-year-old grandmother's company can sell the timber later. If you say it yourself, the press will destroy you. What do? You simply sponsor an independent think tank. You give them a couple of million in grants. With that cash, the center hires professors who write a massive study claiming that cutting down the forests will 100% save the environment from wildfires. Then, you step up to the podium, wave the report in the air, and proudly declare, "I am relying strictly on the science." The bill passes successfully. There you have it. You're now as smart as a political science master. So if you suddenly wake up as a senator one day, you know exactly what to do. Hit subscribe.